Well, the U.S. Senate has cleared the way for debate to begin on one of the most emotional bills it will take up this year, and that's gun control. The Senate today voted 68-31 for debate to begin on President Obama's proposal for tighter gun controls that include stricter background checks and increased funding for school security. The December massacre of 26 children and teachers at a Connecticut elementary school put gun control back in the American spotlight. A compromise on expanding background checks for gun buyers between two pro-gun senators opened the door for the debate to begin, but a provision that would ban on military-style assault weapons has a slimmer chance of getting passed. Now, as Congress wrangles over demands for tighter gun controls, American clergy are speaking out on both sides of the issue. VOA religion correspondent Jerome Socolovsky reports.
We must change the way our country manages and legalizes this behavior.
Episcopal Bishop Marianne Budde led a recent march by clergy in Washington against gun violence. She says men and women in the pulpits should speak out because it is they who must comfort the bereaved.
I think we're tired of presiding at funerals, frankly.
Let us pray.
The rally was just one of a number of clerical initiatives since 20 small children were killed at a school in Newtown, Connecticut in December. The Reverend Matthew Krebin and Rabbi Shaul Praver were with parents at this firehouse when they received the news that their children were among the dead.
Why is it that we accept that we can lose 30,000 people a year to guns who die, but also over 100,000 who are injured through gun violence? Why do we accept those things as being status quo? If this was a war where we were losing soldiers or we were losing other people, we would not accept that.
Krebin says Jesus responded to violence with nonviolence. But Maryland evangelical pastor David Whitney believes in a God-given right to bear arms.
Jesus did teach nonviolence. Jesus did teach turn the other cheek. But there's a difference if I were to slap you on the cheek. I have offended you, I have embarrassed you, I have insulted you, I have done you some damage, maybe even I have bruised your cheek, but I have not threatened your life. Jesus didn't say if someone pulls out a sword and stabs you, turn and let him stab you again.
Life goes on in Newtown, even though it has become a kind of ground zero of the gun violence debate. The tragedy that befell this town, horrific as it was, has breathed new life into the idea of gun control in America. But the question remains whether a religious initiative, by no means supported by all U.S. clergy, can keep it from dying a quick death in Washington.
O Judge of the nations!
These clergy want to shame opponents of gun regulations.
Thanks be to God.
Bishop Budde quotes the mother of 6-year-old Newtown victim Noah Posner.
He lies forever motionless in the earth. He will never get to attend middle school or high school, kiss a girl, attend college, pick a career path, fall in love, marry, have children.
Noah's family belongs to Rabbi Praver's synagogue.
There was an outpouring of love from all over the country.
And people send all sorts of things for all the families.
The teddy bears, coming in galore. I mean, we had up to the ceiling.
Praver says the ancient sages of his faith taught that regulation is needed to prevent crimes.
The Talmud speaks, it's kind of an interesting story about a mouse that tries to get the cheese. And, but the mouse can only get the cheese if there's a hole in the wall.
Praver practices a healing prayer before a recent Sabbath. He says he wants his town to be remembered not for its tragedy, but as a bridge to a better world. Jerome Socolovsky, VOA News, Newtown, Connecticut.
Well, joining us now is Reverend Kenn Blanchard, a Baptist minister. He opposes gun control and says it infringes on the rights to bear arms given to American citizens by the Second Amendment to the Constitution. Reverend Blanchard is a blogger and the author of the book Black Man with a Gun, a Responsible Gun Ownership Manual for African Americans. Thank you so much for joining us, Reverend Blanchard.
Thank you for the invitation.
So the division is even within the clergy. And looking at the package we just ran, what are your thoughts on some of the issues that came out in there?
It's easy to make a decision or to take a point when you don't know all the facts. When you go just by tragedy and sadness and emotion, that will take you. Not many of those clergy people have actually been firearms people. They're not former law enforcement or military. They're only going from one side. And when you only have one side of an argument, you don't have the whole picture.
Now, some would argue that the people in general don't have all sides of the arguments. I mean, it's for sure that these deaths happened, say, in Newtown, where 20 children and then 6 other adults were killed by a man wielding a gun. And the proposal now is to make sure that it doesn't happen again by ensuring that people get their IDs and background information checked to make sure that they have sound mind and are not criminals. And also that, you know, there's no need for people to have assault rifles with a capacity to fire 30 rounds at one time. What is so contentious about that for those who don't see at least why that is a necessary move?
It's contentious because it's a political move. There are at least 500 children that have died in Chicago, in the president's hometown, that nobody's mentioned. There's people who die every day, children who die every day because of ignorance, because of gang violence, because of just evil.
But
and
guns, right?
People.
So your argument is that the whole argument and talk about at least controlling where the gun part comes in is really the wrong focus. We should be focusing on people killed, not the guns.
To demonize a machine because a machine can't cry out. You can't be politically incorrect on a machine or a device. And if it's in a movie, it looks scary, it will make you do something. But we have to vilify the villain, the real person, the people who are hurting, the sick people in our land that we always know about, but we just forget about.
Now, are you opposed to some of these proposals, say the increased background check? I mean, that could catch and weed out some of the cases you're saying that perpetuate violence, that is the mental state of people, criminal records.
On the face, it looks like it should, but we already have those in place. A background check has never stopped a villain, a criminal yet. It won't stop anyone tomorrow. We keep inventing the same stuff, thinking it's going to get a different result. We haven't changed mankind. Humanity hasn't evolved.
Now, I'm sure you're not shocked by some who would say, why are you advocating for a continuing, just what many would say, open access to guns, when, as a black man who obviously is very familiar with communities where black people are just at the hands of guns, people are dying every day, never mind faraway places like Africa where some of these guns end up and then militants get hold of them and they're just killing so randomly. Some would say maybe you should be on the opposite side where you're saying, yes, guns are killing. Fine that it's the person who's holding it, but the fact that people have access and they can do whatever they want once they have that gun.
Ignorance kills. Ignorance is what kept us on the plantation for all those years. We didn't know we could be free. America is unique in that it allows you to carry and to have a firearm. I grew up in a household with a maternal grandmother who had a loaded shotgun unlocked in her kitchen all our lives. And the 33 grandkids that ran around did not touch grandma's gun because we didn't want to go through grandma. What we have is a problem with our society. Guns have been here forever. This issue isn't new. It just wasn't created with Newtown. It's as old as the invention of gunpowder. Somebody has always tried to control who had the power.
What's your solution? What's your suggestion for a solution?
We got to fix our society. Our society is broke. Guns have been here forever, but we've lost our children. We've lost responsibility. We've lost respect for life. That's where the preaching comes in. That's where the teaching has to go back to.
So you'd like to see that included in this debate that Congress will be having?
It has to come out of Congress. Congress can't fix us. Our families have to fix us. Our parents have to fix us. Our communities have to fix us.
Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for sharing your perspectives with us. Reverend Kenn Blanchard is a pro-gun activist, a blogger, and a Baptist minister, joining us here on Africa 54.